Hey artists, welcome to another video. Today I'm doing something that I've always wanted to do, but I never have before. And I thought this was such a fun opportunity to kind of do a deep dive into the Danny Art archives and pick out a piece that I did a long time ago and that I still love and redo it. Basically breathing life into a new painting based completely on an old piece of art that I did. And as I was digging through my archives, I found a couple of pieces that really sparked some inspiration for me. So I'm really excited. I have a couple more of these videos planned. Ironically, 3 out of the 4 pieces I picked were tigers. So yeah, I guess I painted a lot of tigers before. But this is the first one that I want to show you. I did this painting probably 8 or 9 years ago. And what's kind of different is the fact that I created this piece with ink, with a little bit of colored pencil for like the color in the eyes. But this is an ink piece that I did on paper. And I don't really work with ink anymore. I am an oil painter now. So I figured this is gonna be a really cool opportunity to turn this piece into something completely new. So I am going to be changing up my mediums compared to my old piece, but I think that is just still such a fun thing, and I'm super stoked to show you how this turned out. So I'm starting off like I do all of my paintings here. I'm working on a sheet of loose canvas that I have taped to a board so that, it's nice and sturdy. Transferred my sketch, and now I'm going to town. So one of the things, since my original piece was completed with ink, and I was basically just using black ink, I didn't really have any washes in there, so I was gonna stick with a very monochromatic, color palette here. The bulk of my painting, basically everything except for the eyes, is created just with ivory black and titanium white, and mixing those two to create, a range of grays that I'm going to use for this tiger. I realized looking through my archive of old artwork that I definitely had a lot more of a fantasy spin on my art. And it, looking back at that really made me miss that. So I think I might have to dip my toes back into that sort of like fantasy-ish, surreal, aspect to painting otherwise realistic wildlife. It's so much fun, and for me, it always highlighted the beauty of being an artist in the way that, we have all these amazing resources. I'm a wildlife painter, so, I use a lot of wildlife for references. But we forget often that, we are artists. We have the capability to turn it into whatever we want. And I used to do that a lot, and I find that I kind of steered away from it. And I think this might be my invitation to step back into adding those sort of fantasy or surreal elements to otherwise realistic animal art. So that's why here, normally if I was painting a white tiger, I wouldn't just be using white and black. I would definitely be adding a lot more color in that fur, because we all know that in nature, white fur doesn't actually look pure white. There's lots of colors in there. But because I wanted to go with this stylized look here of having a true gray toned, tiger with that bright pop of these eyes, which these eyes again are definitely part of the fantasy spin here. I don't really think tigers have eyes that are quite this crazy and saturated. That would be amazing, but that's the beauty of art, is we can push it as far as we'd like, and I really like putting crazy eyes on my animal subjects. So one of the things that I kept in mind when I was choosing some old artwork that I wanted to, breathe new life into, was I didn't want to choose pieces that I was really unhappy with, if that makes sense. I mean, as we grow and we learn, it's inevitable that you're going to look back on your old artwork and be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I showed people this, I'm so much better now. And yeah, that's part of the process of growing and learning as an artist. And when I was looking through my archives, I didn't want to pick something that was just blatantly like incorrect or what I would perceive as bad. I wanted to choose something that I still really loved. And I really love this piece still, the original piece that I did with ink. And the reason why I wanted to go with something that I still really loved is because, that makes art more special. When we create art of things that we love, there's certain magic that goes into there that you can't replicate any other way. You can't force that passion. And it was just such a fun experience to be able to relive this piece of artwork, but in a new form, really. I have completely shifted mediums. I no longer work with ink primarily. Now and then I use it for a fun personal project, but otherwise I am an oil painter now. And that's why I thought it would be a neat opportunity to show that shift, show how I have grown as an artist. And there's other areas here where I have definitely shown my growth. I tend to work a lot bigger now because to me, working bigger feels a lot more fun. It feels more freeing. And one of the things I've realized, one of the reasons why I like working bigger is that it actually allows me to move physically a lot more than if I was working on a smaller piece. And it just breathes a certain energy into the process. And I love that. The fact that I do actually have to create larger motion with my arms and I have to sit back more just because of the sheer size, it adds a really special energy to the creative process. And yeah, so I noticed that, yes, I tend to work a lot bigger now, which is fun. And I actually allow myself to get more fluid with my brush strokes. I'm not super obsessed with every tiny little perfect detail. I allow myself to actually enjoy the process and go with the flow and let things be messy and fun and enjoyable because, if you're not enjoying the process, then what's the point, right? I want art to be fun. I want it to be pleasurable and so full of joy and an experience. So that was all really, this was all really important stuff I was thinking about when I was choosing my piece. So the other pieces that I have chosen to do the same sort of experiment with are along the same lines. They have more of a fantasy element to them. Most of them are tigers, which is funny because I don't paint a whole lot of tigers now, but that's, I guess, gonna be changing. But they were pieces that were just an experience and a lot of fun. They didn't necessarily, stand in my usual body of work. They're more experimental pieces. And I found myself growing a lot when I was creating those pieces. So that sort of energy is definitely an inspiration for creating this little mini series, if you want to call it, of me taking old artwork, like art that I've done anywhere between, 5 and 10 years ago, and breathing new light into it. And I hope this gives you a bit of inspiration to do this yourself. It's fun to look back and really see how far you've gone and how much you've grown, how much your ideas have evolved, your process, your actual skill levels. It's a lot of fun. So I highly recommend taking a look, at your older artwork and giving this a shot. Pick a piece that, has some age behind it. It's got some quirks maybe, and you're like, okay, well, I could have done that better. But in your heart, you still feel fondly about it. Try creating it again. And you're probably going to have a lot of fun doing it. I really wish I still had the original for this piece. My ink piece, I sold it. Like most of my artwork that I've done in the past has been sold and is now, sitting in beloved homes around the globe. I wish I had it here so I can actually show you a little bit more, but this piece will have to do. Now that I've gone through this piece, it's really making me want to start a new sort of mini series of art that has a bunch of different, wildlife that's grayscale, but with crazy, beautiful colored eyes. I don't know, do you want to see something like that? Leave me a comment if you want to see me put together a mini series of paintings like this. And the last little detail I had to do was that cute little heart that was adorning the cheek of that tiger that you'd see in the original. All right, so that brings this painting to a close. I had so much fun. I love the way this looks. I am so excited to keep doing this. Oh, it was just such a blast. I learned so much about myself as an artist and what I used to be like. I highly recommend you consider doing the same sort of thing. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. If you're craving more help with painting realistic wildlife easily, then you will love the Wildlife Painting Academy. Each month, new masterclasses are added, complete with my voice walking you through every moment, paint mixing recipes, reference photos, and so much more. You can check it out in the link in the description of this video.